The Building Freedom podcast is created by Randy Stanbury, the founder and chief inspiration officer of 4-Level Coach. Randy is a best-selling author with 25 years of real-world experience and a load of personal and business development. He will be sharing the tools, strategies, and mindset to help you overcome the most difficult roadblocks. Discover how you can transform your life and your business for greater freedom.
Hey everybody, it's Randy Stanbury with 4-Level Coach, and this is the Building Freedom Podcast. Today I'll be sharing insights and strategies directly from our Facebook group live for custom home builders. If you are a custom builder or remodeler and want to join the live conversation, head over to our Facebook group by clicking the link in the description of this podcast. Now don't worry if you're a plumber, electrician, painter, landscaper, it does not matter if you're any of the other trades. All of these insights and strategies relate directly to you and your business, I promise you. Now, let's dive right in and join the conversation that's in motion now. Okay, guys, welcome to the Building Freedom Podcast. It's Randy Stanbury here with a couple of ladies from Elevation Marketing. We have Amanda Joyce and Devon Hayes with us today. Going to get into, I believe we're going to get into, and we probably go off in different directions as we usually do on this podcast anyway. Want to make sure that we cover all aspects. So we'll be getting into some of the common mistakes that we're making in marketing in our businesses. Amanda and Devon both obviously work in the with the trades, but also with remodelers, and we'll see where we go today. Maybe you guys can do a little better introduction than I just did, and talk about who you are, how you got into this, and what you're doing today.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much for having us. I'm Amanda Joyce, and I entered the world of digital marketing straight out of college. It's becoming further and further away every year now. So back in 2005, and I cut my teeth learning how to run Google Ads back in the day when we called it AdWords, and kind of learned my way through the industry that way. My degree was in journalism and public relations. So over the years, I was able to kind of figure out how to leverage that experience from an agency, and then my background in writing for content marketing that really fits into the whole puzzle that is digital marketing today. So, and then Devon and I joined forces. We're coming up on our 5th year anniversary. We both had separate agencies and brought our agencies together.
Cool.
And we've really niched down and focused on those in the trades, remodelers, roofers, and we've really learned a good system that seems to work across the country in different markets. And we love helping these kind of businesses learn and grow and start really driving consistent leads.
And so you guys, just before we go further, one, where are you located exactly, like physically, both of you guys?
Well, I'm in Phoenix.
And I'm in Denver.
You're in Denver, and really can help anyone anywhere. I mean, we're in the digital world today. So you got clients across the country?
We do. We have clients in the US, Canada, and Australia.
Oh, wow. Okay. Very good. And what do you find there is subtle differences in how we're marketing in these different locations, countries, states, provinces? Maybe you can touch on that a little bit.
Absolutely. We find that there's a lot of consistency across the board, but there's things we have to keep in mind, even just local dialect. When we're doing keyword research, we have to make sure that we're focusing on the way people approach search engines. Search behavior is completely different across the globe, and that's one of the kind of first things we do when we get to know a brand. As we dig in, Devon's our keyword guru. She really digs in and learns about what's happening there from a local standpoint, and we build off of that.
Got it.
Yeah, something that was hilarious to us was when we got our first client in Australia, they're a plumber, and the term roof plumber was really popular, and we're like, what is that? Like, what in the world? And we're like, so you have to figure out that there's high search volume for that in Australia. There is zero in the US. So
right.
you do, it's like anything though, even US based, like you'll find some markets search behavior, the user is really problem aware versus solution aware. Like in Ohio, they'll search for ice damming instead of like roof repair. It's just very specific. So we, have to base kind of our strategy around how user behavior varies in each market. So it's the same research in the US or Canada or Australia. It's all different, even though you might think people search the same everywhere. They really don't.
No, that's cool. It's good to know. Actually, it's kind of interesting. With your process, you start to work with someone. Are you doing some sort of kind of deep dive into their world to get started? How do you get started with someone? Maybe you can give us that.
Devon,
Yes.
I feel because you had this up. Yeah, you've got to tee this up.
Yeah, definitely. So we don't really have a cookie cutter solution. The first part is meeting with and talking to the business owner. Obviously, we're going to look at your website. We're going to see which services you offer. But normally what we notice is they'll have, they'll list out every single service under the hot red sun that they think, a remodeler should offer. But then when you talk to them, you figure out they're actually really focused on kitchen remodels and bath remodels. They don't so much care about offices or basements, but they don't want to leave it out in case they could do, a tenant build out. And so they have a lot of information. And so learning what's important to them, what's your bread and butter, what are the highest margins, where do you want to break into? And then we kind of look at their current positioning, current standings. How is their domain rating, which is just kind of a score you get from different, search engine optimization tools. But we have to take that input from the business owner to really understand what's important to them, because it's really easy to find a blanket term for a service. But which neighborhoods do you want to work in? You don't want to say, I'm a plumber in Los Angeles. That's massive. Yeah. And then you're competing against so many people. So really having those conversations and figuring out where you want to do the work and what work specifically is most profitable for you. And then we kind of dive into the research and analysis part of it. We look at how people are currently getting to their website and using their website. And then we look at how their competitors are performing, what keywords people are using to find those competitors. We're looking at what keywords they're running like paid ads on. So we kind of take all this information, do a bunch of research, and then come up with a strategy for the content that we're going to write to really optimize their Google business profile, their Facebook profile. That's all off page. And then to optimize everything that's actually on their website and come up with a content strategy that will attract users to their website, but then also convert them into buyers, because what good is organic traffic if nobody's converting into an actual customer?
And yeah, I mean, that you hit on something there that we talk about so often in our groups and our programs, is to really, I think we have to niche down. And I mean, marketing to me cannot be effective if we're trying to market everything to everybody. It just, and that's everything that you were just kind of describing there. And I just want to make sure that's abundantly clear with anyone that's listening to this, that if you're not niche down, how do you leverage the dollars that we have to spend on any sort of marketing if we're trying to be everything to everybody? So is part of your job, or do you find part of your job is working with an owner that's, and I wouldn't say stubborn, but let's say, this is their baby and they've been doing this for a long time. So to suggest that they need to narrow things down and say, you can't be everything to everybody, that's got to be one of the biggest challenges.
Yeah.
I know it is for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have this conversation all the time. We talk to people that have maybe had a restoration company for 20 years, but the vast majority of what they get out of it is where they make their money is in roofing. And we have to really, really coach them away from, we've even gotten someone to pull the restoration out of their brand name and put roofing into it. I mean, that's really, if that's really where you're trying to go. And it hurt him because it was like, he cut his teeth in restoration, but that's not where his business is going. And it has made it's really helped him, but
that'll
it's a
change
really hard decision.
Entire game. But here's the thing, right? Like we're not suggesting that you should never do restoration again.
Exactly.
Right? We're just suggesting, who are you in the market? How are you showing up? what do people see you as? What are you known for? Right? If we're not
Exactly.
known for something, we got nothing here.
Exactly. I mean, and Devon and I have even experienced that in our own agency. We are a much more successful and effective agency now that we are solely focused in this industry.
Sure.
And we're happier
Yeah,
with what we do as a
we
result.
just talked about that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think with contractors, what's hard too, even when you have, we have a remodeler and roofer, it's the same business, right? And it's split 50-50 on roofing and remodeling. So they're like, well, they want to go for both, but in that case, this is where you, like, when you're working with an agency, they should be able to coach you into, typically you need to pick one over the other as your primary target for search engine optimization. You can't attack both at the same time, depending on, again, your domain rating. So if you don't have a massive presence, you can't start with attacking both of them.
So,
and your agency should coach you away and help you understand that. And then you can add on.
I'm assuming this is going to be one of our mistakes, right? We talked about the mistakes about
Yes.
in marketing. So that'll be one of them, I had no doubt. But when we and you're suggesting that you can't do that, my belief is it's because we're just watering down our dollars and our success on that. It's like can you be great at everything or several things? Yeah, maybe over time, but let's start with being great at one thing first, right? That's kind of the thinking?
Absolutely. And that's honestly the way the search engines force your hand. If you really are trying to rank naturally, they're not going to let you rank for all of that all at once. So they're kind of forcing our hand, and it really aligns really well.
So that's what it's about
from a business perspective. Yeah.
It's like we need to be playing Google's game, and we need to be ranking accordingly, and they're not going to let you rank for more than one thing at a time.
You're truly building trust with them.
Yeah, you can, but it does take time. You have to have a strong brand and a strong domain and a strong authority in one specific service before you're trusted enough to say, okay, yeah, I also do these other things.
Right.
So yeah.
And we would like to think that we could fool them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And people often think they can, but they can't.
but we've tried.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Not saying, right. We're not saying strip all the other things off and only focus on roofing if you also do remodeling. But again, this is where working with your agency and, a digital expert will help you kind of create that hierarchy in your website that indicates to search engines what the most important thing is that you want to be, targeting and ranking.
Which is all about strategy, right? Like if we're not approaching, this is the thing about, which we start off with everyone. If you don't have a vision for where you want to go, how do we help you strategize getting there?
Yeah. And how do you know when you got there?
Yeah. How do you know? And we've often say, even in our marketing, I'm assuming it's the same thing. If we don't have a destination, a strategy for what we want to do, which is working with your client in the first place, what do they actually want to achieve? Then we say, it's like taking a road trip. Any old road will do if we don't have a destination. And most of us, what we're doing is just driving around in circles in our business because we don't know where we actually want to be. And therefore, we're busy as shit every day, not getting to an end result that's proving something. So we're just busy. We talked about this before we jumped on recording here. Guys, for the most part, are busy working in their business and don't have time to get off that hamster wheel long enough to focus on the things that are going to make a difference. And that takes vision, strategy. It takes a different deployment of our resources and what we're doing with our money. And if we don't have our pricing, this is the other thing that, I'm sure you will struggle with clients, is if they don't have the pricing right to close deals, they're not going to have the money to continue to pay the right dollars it takes to grow our business with marketing and building teams to execute and put the capacity we need to grow this thing at the right speed and right level, right? So it doesn't matter how many new leads is coming in. If we can't execute and close them at the right price point, we're screwed.
Exactly. And that's something that's frustrating for us from an agency too. We want to make sure that we pride ourselves on the quality of those leads that we hand over, and we sometimes we listen to phone calls and we're like, oh my God, it's hard to sometimes hear how some of those expensive calls we're driving are being received, maybe by an answering service or something along those lines. So we always want to make sure that we're not just, shooting leads over and checking out. We want to make sure that the leads we're driving are quality, that they're being properly handled, and that ultimately they're helping to grow the business to substantiate the cost of working with us.
Well, and the other, large piece there to me is all about metrics, right? So it's tracking those and to see the smiles is like, yeah, hello, metrics. That could be another one of our mistakes. Anyway, why don't we dive into the marketing mistakes? And just start with that and see where this goes. And I'll probably go in all kinds of directions. I can't help myself, but let's try to keep on track.
Absolutely. And as well, we struggled to narrow down which ones we wanted to cover. So undoubtedly, like you said, we'll probably go off on some tangents. But
so how many are we covering?
We have 7.
Okay. So we'll go down the 7 road. And is this are we starting with the 7th or the 1st?
We're just starting out with number 1. We didn't really rank them in order of like what's hurting you the most, because it depends on your business and what's going on. But we're hoping some of these will save some people some money in the long run, and they can be easily executed. So
and what we talked about is the easy execution, right? So what you're going to get into, guys can actually take this and implement, some of this stuff right away, right? So I love the, starting with like the things like why or the mistakes that we're making that we can avoid so easily. These are the things that, hey, half the time we're wondering what to do when we are working on our business. It's this list right here. This is a great place to start. So let's dive into it. Hit us.
Okay, awesome. So the first one is sinking thousands of dollars into Google Ads with no plan of ever stopping that flow. So there's definitely a time and a place to spend money on Google Ads. Some people in our industry or some of our competitors could listen to this podcast and be like, what is she talking about? But we really like to coach people away from just having an indefinite plan to just spend 5 to 10 grand a month on Google Ads forever and always in perpetuity. Because we feel like, as we discussed before we hopped on here, SEO is the backbone of what we do as an agency. And we love SEO because once you've invested in it and you've got that online presence, you own it, and it doesn't just go away when you turn off the ad spigot. But there's definitely a time and a place for spending money on Google Ads. You can get that phone ringing. You can test different keywords and figure out what keywords you should be focusing on long-term from an SEO perspective. So it can really help build your overall marketing strategy. But if you're just spending that money month over month with no plan to ever get off of that, you're going to be running a rat race. The cost per clicks are going up exponentially year over year. So what was maybe cost effective in 2001, we're talking to people now that they're like, I'm spending 30% more than I was then, and I'm getting a quarter of the leads. And it's the nature of the business, and it's the nature of everyone getting in there and saturating that ad opportunity. So we just really like to make sure that, like, if you're spending on it, be really strategic with it. Talk to whoever's managing it. Make sure you're keeping it, you're keeping a handle on it. It's you're driving leads at a positive ROAS, return on ad spend, so that it's making money for your business. You don't want to spend $1,000 to drive a lead that maybe at the end of the day is going to make you a few $100s in profit. So you have to be really strategic with it. So we are really coaching people away from just dumping money into it. We're telling people to spend more money on Google local service ads, which is another Google product, but right now it's not as expensive. One day it will be. And then over time, really focus on an SEO strategy that will be less expensive over the life of your marketing campaigns.
And you led to a couple of different things. You talked about the ROAS or the ROAS. And so return on ad spend. I think that if we're not tracking, again, we're talking about metrics. If we don't track our ad spend or our ROAS, our return on ad spend, come on, guys, we have to be tracking this stuff. It has to become important enough to care to track it. If we cannot change, we can't manage what we don't measure, right? So this is such a critical piece. Like, again, I don't know how many mistakes we have, but like that's one big time, right? So we got to be doing that. You also mentioned SEO. I think most of us understand SEO today and what that's made up of. But can you touch on SEO and how important that is and what it's made up of, and like how do we increase SEO? And is that another common, maybe that'll lead us down a path anyway, but
It probably will lead us down a path for sure. But Devon, hit this one.
I was going to say, it's like, tell me how to build a car really quick.
Yeah. No, and that is a great way to put it. But just a baseline understanding.
Baseline, the point of SEO is to drive organic traffic, right? And match your service plus your location, with a user looking for those things. And it's free. So the point of SEO is to get that free traffic through to your site. And that's about it. It's just matching user intent. That's
can you give us a couple of components that would increase your search engine optimization?
Yeah, so absolutely. So that's actually number 2 on our list of 7 mistakes here. Beautiful. Is not fully optimizing your Google business profile. That is going to be the backbone of how you appear locally. So that little 3-pack, that local 3-pack that's at the top, takes up the prime real estate on the search engine results page. That's really based on kind of your brick and mortar location and your reviews, but there's a lot of other like nuanced items within that profile that will help you rank if you fully optimize it. So not taking advantage of filling out kind of every nook and cranny that they provide to you is a massive mistake. Also, so within that profile, you can, fill out services, you can fill out products. They recently made the editor right on the search engine, on the Google search engine results page. And they did that for a reason. They want you to be more interactive with your profile because they want users to be more interactive with those profiles. So not responding to reviews, not responding to messages, not answering the phone during your posted business hours, they track that and you can look at that and that hurts you. So if you're saying you're open 24 hours, well, you better answer that phone 24 hours. And if you don't, you're getting dinged every time you don't answer the phone. So we know a lot of contractors, they want to click that 24-hour box. Well, guess what? You better be prepared to answer the phone 24 hours a day. And there's plenty of guys that have, those 24-hour phone answering services, so they're covered. But if you don't, check yourself because that could hurt you. Not posting to that profile at least weekly, that hurts you. And then, I did say not responding to the reviews on that promptly, but also not having an optimized response to the review. So if somebody writes you a 5-star review and they talk about, how you came out and you fixed, a pipe and it was leaking everywhere and you saved the day, and then you just say, thanks for your review, it was a pleasure working with you. Well, that's really generic. When you can say, thank you so much for trusting, my plumbing company with your leaking pipe. It was no hassle to come out. We have an emergency plumbing response team. You can riddle it with keywords and your brand name, and don't forget your location in the response, because that's another place Google crawlers will look before they go to third-party sites. So a big mistake is not fully optimizing your Google business profile and your interactions on the profile.
So, this again comes back to what is important and valuable in our business. And when we don't have time to do the things that are important and valuable in our business, how our business never seems to get where we want it to go.
Absolutely.
I mean, there is a massive correlation of the time and what we focus on. And guys, this is the most, I would say, the hardest working industry on the planet. Anyone argue with that?
No.
None at all, right?
No.
60, 80 plus hours a week, like piece of cake, right? Yeah. However, we're just spending that 60, 80 hours a week, maybe not doing the things that are going to make the difference. And so, anything that we're talking about on this podcast, and when we hear what you're like, these are like fabulous tips. This, injecting SEO in those responses. Hello, that's, so simple, but so powerful, right? So this is what we need to be doing. And there's just so many things we need to be doing, and having someone like you guys to help people do this and get them focused on this is really what changes the game. What's the next one? Oh, unless you got something to hit on that. It looked like you did, Amanda.
My last point on that was I was gonna say really quickly, if you are a contractor looking to do some marketing and you don't have any budget to pay someone, if you can focus on that Google business profile, that can be an inexpensive, quick win for you. You're not gonna rank for everything all over the place, but that's something you can do. It's manageable and you don't need to pay an agency to do it.
Inexpensive, quick wins are fabulous, especially when we need them. Now, the other thing, we actually need some reviews though, correct?
Yes, and that's actually that's another one of them. I mean, we're on the same page here.
Oh, are we right there next?
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
roll.
that wasn't actually the next one we were going to hit, but we can hit them out of order. Like getting reviews, making reviews a high priority, and having a system in place to capture those reviews, not just a passive, hey, do you mind giving me a quick review and moving, walking away from the project. Having reviews be a very central part of your system is critical. So, there's automation you can have where you can send out a text once it's over. There's a lot of different things you can put in place to make sure you're consistently getting those reviews. But if you go look at who's ranking locally for the terms you really want, you're going to find that those people are making reviews a really high priority. You're going to see them in their Google business profile. You're going to, it's going to give you, talk about a metric. I mean, you can literally look at who you're trying to beat and know that, if they've got 150 reviews and you're starting out with 27, it's time for you and the team who actually is out there in the field talking to those clients that you're asking them for those reviews. Yeah. And, kind of part of that as well is, one of the things we're seeing is Google really likes when people are including images in their reviews. So that's another quick thing you can do for them. You can take the picture and text it to them and say, please leave us a review, an honest review about the experience you had with us, and please include this image in the review. I love that. Another great little tip. Yeah, and it's asking a little bit if you don't give them that picture. Like, if they've given you, you've done a beautiful kitchen, they might be.
No, we need to make
give
this
them the image
easy as possible for them.
Yeah, exactly. And then back to Devon's point as well about making sure when you're responding, it's a nice meaty response that has the service and the location of said service in that response. A pro tip that we give a lot of our clients as well in these review responses is ChatGPT. There's a lot of times where we don't recommend using AI we certainly don't use it for writing content and thought leadership, but you can lean on ChatGPT, which up a little bit and explain what that is really quickly to people that are listening. It's been a buzzword we've all been hearing a lot lately, but Bing it's Bing's AI. Google has its own Bard, but ChatGPT is really the one that's winning the race right now. And you can use that. You can lean on it and give it a very specific prompt where you can say, please give me a response for this review from a client in city name, the service that was created, and it will spit you back a really nice, meaty response. Doesn't mean you don't have to go in and tweak it a little bit, but if you are getting a ton of reviews and suddenly you're like, oh my goodness, I have to sit down and reply to 5 reviews and I want to make sure these are like good, meaty responses, that can be a really quick way to lean on AI a little bit, have a little bit of fun with it, but you're also, you're not just throwing it out into the ethos and not putting your own spin on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, AI, let's face it, if we're not using AI in our business in some way, shape, or form today, we are definitely outdating ourselves and leveraging all kinds of missed opportunities for sure.
Exactly.
Yes. So that ties into, let's see, I guess our fourth, what are we on? 1, 2, 3, fourth, our fourth one, our fourth mistake that contractors are making is not optimizing for Bing. So everybody's used to Google. Google is God. It's true. They have 96% of the search engine market share. So they're massive. Sure. But until ChatGPT was integrated with Bing, they only had 1% of the search engine market share, and now they're up to like 3.5%. So each month, they're gaining bit by bit, a little bit of traction. But what we've noticed with our clients is that the users that come from Bing are actually really, really high quality leads, and it's much less competitive. And unlike Google, they tell you exactly what their ranking factors are. So if you're working with an agency, it's exponentially easier to rank on Bing over Google. So, you know, and that's a whole separate Oprah right there. But I guess the big thing we wanted to flag with this is that, you know, obviously on Bing, they're not going to have a Google business profile with reviews on it, right? They use reviews from Facebook. So don't forget to get some reviews on Facebook. Yes, you want the majority of them to be on Google, absolutely. But if you have someone who's willing to do it on both, or if you could offer an incentive for them to leave it on both platforms, that's going to help your visibility on Bing so that you can maybe, you know, start to gain some traction. And you know, you don't need to dedicate a ton of time to it because it's just a fraction of users that are on Bing. Like to give it some perspective, I just quickly looked at like the search volume differences for a couple keywords. For plumber near me on Google, that's 51,000 searches per month. And plumber near me on Bing gets about 700 searches per month. So it's, I mean, it's very different. But and then this
But
goes
what's
back to
what is our competitors doing, right? And if we're looking at our competitors on 700 of those searches, I don't know. I don't know too many businesses that couldn't use, you know, a percentage of that 700.
Exactly.
100%.
Exactly.
And one of the things that we find too is that a lot of the users on there are older folks like my parents' age that maybe got a Microsoft computer and they never bothered to change their default search engine from Bing. And a lot of those people have some expendable income and they might want to update their kitchen. And why the heck not be in front of them when they open up their laptop and throw in your service area and your location?
Sure. Yeah, another good one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Right, Amanda.
our next one is no or poor job site marketing or leave behinds. So this is one that we see, you know, we see people making these mistakes. In some cases, if it's poor job site marketing, maybe it's a sign you can, you know, it's jumbled. There's too much information on it. There's not a clear call to action.
It's not readable.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that your contact information is very clear, that you can tell what you can see the website and your branding is clear. You don't need to go above and beyond that. You don't need to list every site, every service you offer. You know, if you're a remodeler, you don't have to list every type of remodeling you do. Just make it clear that that's what you offer and make it something that if somebody's going to recognize your brand, maybe they're going to snap a picture of the yard sign. Maybe they're going to snap a picture of your truck wrap, but they're not going to be like, not know where their eyes need to go when it comes to, you know, what's visible right there. Because that's where you're gonna, that's gonna work for you out there in those communities you're trying, you know, we're trying to make you rank digitally, but if people are not only seeing you ranking digitally, but they see you in their neighborhood and they're starting to make that correlation. You know, they say that people need to see your brand about 8 times before they're gonna really recognize it and they're gonna take action. So just make sure that you're, you know, being really consistent with that kind of physical marketing that can really support what you're doing elsewhere.
Yeah, love it.
And that was on the job site marketing, but also like leave behinds, like, because sometimes, you know, if you're installing a new hot water heater, you're not going to put a yard sign out that, you know, lets everyone know what you're doing, but you can leave a magnet on there or a sticker right on the hot water heater that has your website and phone number or a QR code. Should they need service, they could just scan it right there when they're like, I don't know, this isn't working, something's wrong. Make it easy for them to find you. So whether you leave it on an electrical panel, our roofers were like, hey, why don't you put something in the attic? If they're checking for a leak and someone just bought the house, it'd be great to know who did the roof replacement and just have a folder. And you know, so there's, I think that one gets missed a lot on some great leave behinds. It's with the QR code comeback of the century, it would be a great miss to not have something that, you know, you can leave behind where they can easily contact you. And then as marketers, we would have that QR code drive to a specific page because we know you're an existing customer and we know that you are obviously calling for service or maintenance or something.
Yeah, love that. And the stickers, I know for me, how many times I've used the same garage door guide just because the garage door sticker is there. Right?
Yeah,
like,
it's right there.
And it's just like, I can't make that any easier.
Yeah, landscapers put it on the sprinkler system.
Yeah.
console, or
It's
you
just
know.
so simple, and we might
Yeah.
be missing these little things in our business. So, and I love that you tied in the digital to the traditional stuff, right? I think that's
Try and
important
track it. Yeah.
that we are, because, you know, like Amanda had said, right, we need to be seen. I've heard different numbers, but you said eight's the number. I mean,
That's, yeah.
it's
I
some
have heard many too as well, but eight's
right,
the one I
but
hear
eight
consistently.
makes
But
sense to me. Eight sounds about right.
Yeah.
Like we do, it does not register until we've seen that brand enough times. And, you know, so let's just make them see it as much as possible. Which we're going to be doing with some retargeting, and I'm assuming you guys are doing, that's got to be part of our strategy nowadays, just so that we can, like, I mean, it's so easy to be in front of them more often today than ever before, right?
absolutely. And that goes back to kind of what we were talking about at the beginning as well with paid ads. If you're just spending money month over month, that's a really big miss for a lot of people inside that account, because you've already paid a ton to get them there for that first click. You could be paying $20, even $50 for that click, but that remarketing click is like $1, and they've already been to your website at that point. So making sure that you're really, if you're spending the money to get them there once, the remarketing is just a nice little exclamation point at the end of that to just stay top of mind while they're making their buying decision. Because most people they're going to hit your website, and especially if they're considering a huge remodel, they're probably not going to fill that form out that first time. They might see some of your pictures, and they're going to start thinking about it, and before they're going to come back.
And on the remodel side, I mean, we're getting them at top of funnel for the most part. And so we have opportunity to get in front of them 8 times before they make their decision. There's no doubt about it. And if you've done your job properly out in the real world and not the digital world, with our truck wraps and our yard signs, and how we do that, it's the simplicity of that, the combination, that's what we need to do. What are we on?
Absolutely.
6? 5?
Yes. Yeah. We are on 6. Yeah, Devon, you hit this one.
Oh, all right, sure. Yeah. So inconsistency in we call it NAP, which is name, address, phone number. So sometimes if you have an LLC attached, sometimes you don't, sometimes you use Inc., sometimes you don't, sometimes you use Avenue, or you say Av, suite versus the abbreviation. All of those inconsistencies impact your visibility online. So that's just a huge miss that we see a lot of times. It's so easy to fix that you don't even think about. You're registered as an LLC, and so you put it on there as an LLC, but forward facing, you think customers don't need to see it, so you leave that off in some places, but not others. Make it uniform. Whatever you decide to go with, keep it uniform across the board. Typically,
and we're saying across the board on various medias.
Yeah. So anywhere you're posting your name. So if you like your Google business profile, your Facebook profile, Yelp profile, Instagram, Twitter, citations, if you have like an Angie's List listing, any of those directories, if you're on a manufacturer's website as like a trusted contractor or partnered with, make sure your name, address, and phone number all appear the same across every single one of those websites. And that's gonna help your online visibility.
Great.
So that was
again a nice simple one that we need to be doing and implement right away.
Exactly. And for some, it seems so simple and basic, but it is crazy that just fixing that little mistake across all of your profiles can really have a positive impact on that local visibility specifically.
And when you think of what you guys are giving us here today is these simple things, and when we combine the compound effect of these simple changes, really make big differences.
Absolutely.
yes.
Okay, and number 7, drum roll. This one is not telling people in the headline on your homepage exactly what it is you do. Having your service and the location where you provide your service in that headline is a huge SEO mistake and a huge user experience mistake, quite honestly, for people when they hit your website. Google is going to go, Google being all the other search engines, that's what they're going to see very first. And that's your first opportunity to tell them who you are, what you provide, and really what you aim to rank for in your market. So if, a lot of times we'll see some real flowery language that, is pretty, it's nice from a marketing standpoint, but it does not clearly define what it is you do. And that can really hurt your rankings. And again, the user experience. You don't want someone to come there and say, wait, I thought I landed on a remodeler, but I'm a little confused by this, tagline that has nothing to do with it.
I pulled one up, and if I read this to you, tell me if you know what this company does. Ready? Easy, hassle-free, professional. Let us give you back your free time and foster relaxation.
Okay.
Do you know what they do?
Well, no, it sounds like a bit of a business coach to me, because we want to give them back their free time, and they need to make it easy. However, I'm sure it isn't. What is it?
It's a landscaper.
Yeah, like, come on.
So
again, nice and fluffy and nice tagline for the client, maybe, but not giving them much effect on the SEO
on
side.
the SEO side. Yeah. So they're talking about the benefit to choosing them and working with them, which is great. You do want to fill your website with, the benefits and outcome a customer can expect when they choose to work with you. But the expertise comes in when you can marry SEO language with this, benefit outcome sort of language, this marketing language, and tell them what they can expect, but also letting crawlers know where you do that, so it's
can you take that same website and put you on the spot here and say what should that say? What would be a more beneficial tagline there?
I would say, when you choose my landscaping company, I won't throw them on the spot here. When you choose my landscaping company, you can expect an easy, hassle-free, and professional experience.
Okay. And you also said where they are doing this. Is that was important as well?
It is. So if you you have like the structure of your site, there's called an H1, and an H1 is your first header. It's the most important thing. And then there's an H2, H3, H4, H5. There's paragraph. That's kind of how the hierarchy of a crawler works. So you can have that in the H1, but then, your H2 right below it. You can say, we provide, landscaping, maintenance, and design services in whatever city. And so you have the primary keyword up top, and then you have the location right underneath it. So the crawler reads first, second in that hierarchy. So, but sometimes when you have a service that's a little bit more succinct, you can fit both in a really great meaty headline. Like we're Denver's best. I don't know. You'll see a lot of SEO spammy websites where it's like best roofing company Denver. We're the best roofers in Denver. And that's great for SEO because a lot of people search best roofers Denver, right? But it doesn't tell the user, it doesn't tell us what we can expect from that roofer's services, right? So it's the joy of trying to marry them both. And Google, it used to favor that exact phrase match SEO language, but now their algorithm has gotten, and their AI has gotten a lot smarter, and you don't even have to have that exact keyword phrase match to be number one in Google for best roofers Denver, best roofing company, because they now have figured out the user's intent. And so conveying what a user can expect is really important, because now you're looking at dwell time on a page, you're looking at people clicking through the site, staying on longer, looking at more services, because you're not just, I compare it to going to, like a mortgage lender, someone like and trust, versus like a Quicken Loans where you go online and it's like right away, they want your lead capture information. They want all of it at the top. Give me your social security number. We'll get you pre-qualified right now. Before they tell you anything about themselves or what you can expect for them or the benefits of working with them, it's like, take me to dinner first. Why do you want all this info? Like, so it's just kind of marrying the two, instead of going like so hard with like plumber near me. When you're looking for a plumber near me, we're the plumber near you. Do you need a plumber near me? It's really, everyone has got to get away from that language because Google doesn't like it anymore. So
yeah, that's the thing I was going to suggest is, and I'm not a marketing expert by no means, but my understanding is that Google actually deducts now for things where it's too heavily SEO'd. If that's the right terminology for that. Yeah, it's over optimized.
It is.
Yeah. So So we've got that's maybe another, I mean, like you said, could be a lot of mistakes, and we all make them, and some of them we have no idea we're making them. We're also, let's realize, guys, that we are in your businesses, and what Amanda and Devon are talking about, you could be roofers, plumbers, in our business, working with remodelers and builders. We are experts at what we do. We're not experts at marketing, but we try to do marketing to save money. And the truth is, it's costing us a pile of money when we're trying to save money. And I think if can we throw in an eighth mistake?
Yeah, let's do it.
The eighth mistake is not spending any money on marketing and using the right company to do that as an expert.
Yes.
When we're trying to do it ourselves to save some money, it's no different than, and I get it, guys, when we're trying to use our wife, our spouse, a friend, a neighbor to do our bookkeeping for us. But that bookkeeping ends up hurting us big time by things getting a bit messy because we don't have an expert doing our bookkeeping. Well, it's just, we need an expert doing our marketing, and marketing is actually going to make you a substantial amount of money if we understand ROAS, that return on ad spend. And it's not just an ad spend, because there's a whole strategy and everything else that goes along with that to get the right outcome. So I always refer to this, and Dean Jackson gave me this line, and so famous for this with the I Love Marketing podcast. I don't know if you guys know that podcast. Do you guys know that podcast?
Yeah.
So I got to know Dean and Joe really well, actually, and so Dean is a really smart guy, but he uses the term that we want to create a marketing vending machine and not a slot machine. And so with a slot machine, of course, we fire in money, and we hope for the best. But a marketing machine that's actually a vending machine can actually produce a result fairly predictable based on the real strategy and deploying things the right way, where we can start getting the right clients out when we put the right dollars in. And if that's the case, then hey, if I can get $100 out for every $5 I put in, or $2 I put in, I'll do that all day long, and I'll get a whole lot more $2 to throw in there. So it's really, to me, that simple, guys. Don't make that final eighth mistake of trying to do all of this yourself. You guys have given us some amazing tips. Let's implement those tips, but then let's go and get the help we need to take our business to the next level in marketing, I think, as a final wrap up. Where can they find you guys, contacts? How do you make it easy to get in touch with you if they desire?
They can just find us online on our website. It's Elev Marketing, ELEV marketing.com. Interact with our chat bot there. We'd love to hear from you guys. And if you've got questions, we'd love to talk to you about our services.
Yeah, fabulous tips. Amanda, Devon, thank you so much for your time. Any parting thoughts before we wrap this up?
No, thank you so much for having us on the show. We really enjoyed it.
Awesome.
If you enjoyed today's podcast and would like to learn more about how to get off the hamster wheel of your business, visit us at 4levelcoach.com/learn more. You can access tools that will help you enjoy more time, money, and freedom in your own business. You can also book a strategy session with our owner and entrepreneur, Randy Stanbury. Thanks for listening.